Okay, a very familiar boat is here. The owner reached out and asked if I could add trim to this, which is a reasonable request. 4 years ago when I built it, in my infinite wisdom, I didn't think it necessary to put trim on it. But trim is pretty well a necessity for these jet boats. So as you can see, this is a static setup where you can't go up or down, and just left or right. So we're gonna get rid of the 3-degree pump wedge and put an adjustable trim nozzle on it, which is right over here. So this is from a newer model ski with the trim ring already integrated into it, and it's got this this lever system here for pushing and pulling. So all of this is kind of half installed because I lost 30 minutes of video from my SD card getting corrupted. But all of that being said, I just need to machine this, get this lip off here so that it mates flush, and measure the volume of the inside of the reduction nozzle so it's not like too large or too small or any of that. And then see if I can plumb this in and then test it. So here is that. Z is 4165. Let me slightly tighten this up. Move it to the other side. $41.20. So only 4.5 thousandths out. That is not too bad. Let's see on the other side. $39.35. Okay, so it's not intolerable. Alrighty. The machinists that can do both X and Y at the same time around a circumference are extremely impressive, because it takes a lot of focusing to do that. I'm sure it probably becomes second nature, but geez, this is hard. All right, first pass done. I'm gonna go a little bit deeper. All right, I have the three degree pump wedge on here, and I have it located for the other three holes. I'm just gonna mark where we need to put the fourth hole so it lines up with the legacy style jet pump. And put a hole there. Something like that. I'd say that's pretty spot on. All right, something like that. This hole right here. All right, so now that this one has been milled down, the little detent that is supposed to click into the 160 mil jet pump has been eliminated. I need to make sure that the reduction nozzle isn't like wildly different. So if we look at this one, this is right at 40.89 millimeters for the new one, and then for the old one, it's probably the exact same. It's just inconsistencies with the castings and how I was pulling it out. So obviously, you know, the circumference here being a couple millimeters bigger, it will increase the volume for the new nozzle, but you know, whatever the circumference is, time the length, and as it like gets smaller through the reduction nozzle, would be the additional water that the pump would have to pump in before it starts to get loaded up. But I genuinely don't think that that's going to be a problem. So I will go ahead and start, I guess I'm going to go put this on the new, or on the ski, the pump, and see if it works. I'll come back when it's on. Okay, I have the 3-degree pump wedge on here, and you can see that the holes actually lined up perfect. So now it just has to go on here. I have no mechanism to hold this from while I install it. Actually, nah, it's not gonna work. Alrighty, it's installed. I gotta see how the reduction nozzle looks, but you can see the 3-degree pump wedge is on there, and this hole that I drilled works perfectly. So it's not as easy to access, but with a wrench it'll be fine. And obviously you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see that, but it's already radiused to account for a bolt to be installed there. It's just for different versions with the Kawasaki stuff. So all right, I will get the reduction nozzle on, or the steering nozzle on now, and see if there's any interference with anything. So all right, I do have the nozzle installed, so let me zero out this angle meter on the boat. Zero it out. Okay, so it's gonna be difficult with one hand, but so whenever it's on the boat at its lowest position, it's almost 1 degree down, and we have adjustability up to around 11 degrees up. That doesn't seem like a whole lot, so we're gonna have to change that. This is also interfering just a little bit down here, so I'm gonna have to give a small amount of relief there, but I'd like to see close to 15 degrees. I'll relieve that and see what it shows after that. All right, so it turns out I'm just an imbecile. So I already notched this out to give it a little bit of relief for the barrel connector deal to go up and down. And I'm sure some of you guys will have caught this. I had the pump wedge installed sideways, so it was actually directing water off 3 degrees that way instead of up or down. So that was kind of stupid. But yeah, so now that I've given it some relief, in the down position we have almost, you know, right at 9 degrees worth of tilt. And then get this right here, and then in the up position we have close to 12 degrees. So whenever it's straight on, so you know, almost 21 degrees I mean, it's a little more than 21 degrees, but with the slop in the cables and the fact that nothing's ever going to be fully utilized and slop in the mechanism and everything, I'd say that's pretty good. So should be able to do plenty good rooster tails. All right, now I need a thing to push and pull the trim nozzle. So this moves 2 inches, and that is why I bought a 2-inch linear actuator. But with the way the lever is set up here, this being the fulcrum, the bolt itself, where I'm actually going to be inputting the effort, isn't actually moving 2 inches. It's moving like 1 3/4 inches. So my 2-inch linear actuator will bottom out on both sides and continue to try until it gets to the end, and then just basically burn itself up. So in order to get 2 inches of movement out of the linear actuator to correspond to 1 3/4 inches on that lever, I was building another class 1 lever like so, that inputs 2 inches of travel on the effort side and 1 3/4 inches on the work side. So as you can see, it does that. Let me reverse the polarity. Yeah, you get the point. But this is kind of a stupid solution, and I realized while I was doing this that I could just move where the work is being done out further. So instead, I'm just going to put this bolt, not this bolt, but another ball screw at the edge here, so that I have more than 2 inches of travel where I can kind of tune it. So, and it keeps it a lot more simple. I don't have all these extra levers and movements, and I don't have to create like a bearing setup to for it to pivot on. So yeah, all right, well, I'm gonna drill this out and get a ball screw installed and then see what it looks like. All right, so I drilled, tapped an M6 hole and got the ball screw in there. So that works with the cable end. Now this is like 2 1/8 inches worth of travel at the very outside of this, so just a small amount in should be pretty well correct. That looks good. So now I need to locate the cable, which is just a 33C cable off of one of the previous projects, and I've started to drill the hole where it's going to go right there, just below it, because that's in line with where the trim lever goes. And looking through here, that is one hell of a P-trap I made. Like, one hell of a P-trap. And some of my welds, I definitely could have used a TIG welder back then, or I should have just went to my buddy Pat's house. But all right, I'm gonna finish drilling that hole and get the cable routed through it, and use one of those IP68 plastic cable glands, just because I'm a tad opposed to using dissimilar metals against the transom, because galvanic corrosion and everything in between. So alrighty, I will finish this up. All right, forgot to record some of this. I just got to going and then I didn't really think of it, but yeah, 1/4 inch piece of aluminum with a cable holder on it and the linear actuator. So I hacked up this piece of this bracket that's meant to go with this, so that it would work. And as you can see, whenever I put voltage to it, so right now it's being driven by 9 volts, or probably 8 volts through this little battery. So it's fairly slow, but whenever it has 12.5, 13 volts, it moves a lot quicker. So, all right, well, the next order of business is to get this tiny hole drilled and tapped to 5/16 24 with this tap, so that the current cable that's on there accepts a 5/16 bolt for the eyelet, so that it's nice and tight. And this is a little more sturdy. So I'll drill and tap this, get this installed on the boat, and then I'm gonna drill the hole for that and find a place to mount it, and then should be in business. Okay. All right, so it's in its spot. I think this battery's getting weak, but all right. It is looking decent. Got the cable gland there. I made a small relief for the reverse bucket, so that fits in there pretty well. Replaced some of the hardware with this stainless stuff off like what the skis come with. Retap that with a 5/16 24 stainless bolt, and a little relief is here, so all of that goes up and down. I notched the bucket. Looking decent. And the only thing left to do is just do the electric bits. So that turned out pretty decent over there. It's pretty well discreet. It doesn't interfere with the rods, the gas struts, because as the gas strut comes down, it compresses and obviously goes in that direction. All right, so there's not a ton of real estate over here, and normally a lot of these boats will have reverse and a trim lever on the left side or somewhere, so that you can continue steering with your right hand or left hand. But because the throttle's on this side and you're steering, you need to be able to, with your left hand, quickly adjust the trim. So I'm thinking I'd love for it to go right here, but there's not enough depth on the backside of this small panel to account for it. So it might just have to go right here, maybe up a little bit higher to the left here, so you can easily press it. I don't know. It doesn't fit with the aesthetic, but this is one of those things where it's function over form. So, all right, I think I'm gonna put it right here. All right, it's done. The owner's here to pick it up. The switch is installed. We're gonna go test it. All right, now that it has trim, just making sure everything looks right.